Right hand over heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I really thought about the inspiration and pledge today. And lots of times with Toastmasters, what is happening in your personal life that you can share for an inspiration? And it's a sad thing, but also there's an answer. I had a really good friend, my son's a really good friend, died of suicide. And they're starting to say they don't commit suicide, but just like they died of cancer, they died of, diabetes or something, they died of suicide. And I am seeing just that even this last 2 weeks, there's several people of faith, pastors and men and women of faith committing suicide. And so that's what I put on as the introduction. And just to let you know, there is a National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And I have the telephone number. And I was actually trained in Safe Talk, that anybody can learn to go through talking with friends. And there's keys, there's absolutely keys. And I'm not going to go through those, but there's Safe Talk, so you can go online and do Safe Talk, and you can go online, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. But what I started to do, that was just the introduction for this inspiration. Because I went online to do these, it's not to give tidbits of encouragement, because I like to encourage people. It's not about the amount of mistakes you make, it's about the amount of lessons you learn from the mistakes you make, right? Courage is one step ahead of fear. If you feel like giving up, look back and see how far you have come, okay? And focus on your goals. Don't look in any direction but ahead. And there's actually, don't look to the right or don't look to the left. Look right ahead, okay? Look in the mirror. That is your competition, okay? Pain is temporary. Quitting lasts forever. A problem is a chance for you to do your best. And the last one, I really love this one. And yes, we are all born on this planet called Earth, but that does not take away the fact that we're all universal creatures. It is the same way that a simple tree has the purpose for producing oxygen in our atmosphere. You have a unique purpose to play in this planet.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mary Elaine, for starting off our meeting perfectly. This is our open house. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and our speaker. We have the theme today of our meeting is back to school. All right, so you'll hear that repeated when we do our table topics, and it'll be a really great time. I know you got lots of questions there, Alan. We have now, I want to introduce to you our general evaluator. So could you please help me welcome up Jeff Greenberg.
In order to conduct a Toastmasters meeting properly, we need people we call functionaries who keep track of certain things during the meeting to enable us to grow as speakers. So I will introduce these functionaries who will then explain what their function is at our meeting. Let me start with our, what we call an A counter, who is Joy Gaylord.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. As a counter, I will be listening for filler words, those ahs, detract from what the speaker is actually saying. As we start getting a report on how many of those filler words we have used, we start noticing them. First, we notice them when others use them. Then we start noticing when we have used them. Then we start noticing just before we use it, so we can stop using them. That's one of the things that we do in Toastmasters to improve our speaking ability. We talk on the tonight. I will keep track of those filler words and the report is called out.
Thank you. Another functionary is grammarian, which happens to be me tonight. The grammarian has two functions. One is to introduce the word of the day. And my word is beguile. You have something on your agenda, if you look at the top, it says word of the day. I also have a little sheet of paper. I'm going to read some sentences to you. 3 definitions, basically. It is a verb. 1, to mislead by tricking or cheating, to deceive. Example of that, Macbeth was beguiled by the prophecies of the 3 witches. 2nd, to pass time pleasantly. My sentence, while waiting for word from the admissions committee, she beguiled the days away by reading romance novels. 3rd, to charm or delight. He was beguiled by his visiting 3-year-old niece. The other function of the grammarian is to notice interesting uses of the English language, interesting in a positive sense or perhaps in a negative sense. And I will make note of who uses the word of the day and report on uses of the English language at the end of the meeting. Another functionary we have who keeps us on track is our timer, who is Morgan Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Tonight I will be your timer, which means that as people are giving table topics presentations or other presentations, I will be keeping track of the clock. Our table topics tonight run for 1 to 2 minutes, meaning that at 1 minute I will flash you the green, at 1 minute and 30 seconds I will flash you the yellow, and at 2 minutes I will flash you the red to let you know that your time is up. We do not have evaluators tonight besides a general evaluator or speakers besides special guests. I don't believe the special guest tonight has requested time, so I cannot give a time report to a speaker who's not requested.
Do we want to record the rabbi, or how long is your presentation?
Do we want to time you? Do you want to time
Yeah,
you?
you can time me.
How long is it?
What time, 15, 20 minutes?
15 to 20 minutes. That's what Alan told me. I'm blaming Alan.
I will give you the green at 15 minutes,
Okay.
the yellow at 17 and a half minutes,
Okay.
and the red at 20 minutes.
Perfect.
Thank you. And we have a trophy master who will explain what he does right now. Sanford.
Well, it's going to be easy today, but normally on trophies, what we do is count up who's the best speaker, who's the best evaluator, and who is the best table topic master. We have up here a trophy and a ribbon for the best table topic master or table topic speaker. So you will give me, after voting, you will give me your ballots and I'll count them up and then announce who the winner of the table topics is. Normally we give a presentation for the winner and evaluator, but today it's only the table topics.
I will now bring up our Toastmaster once again.
All right, one thing I did forget to do at the beginning
Jeff.
was to have our guests introduce themselves and tell us how they happened to find their way here. So, please tell us your name and how did someone invite you to this meeting, or how did you find your way here?
My name is Stacy, and I came here by way of Joy. I am the pastor at her church.
Oh, wow.
And she told me about, there was a flyer, and I was extremely excited about the topic and the speaker, so I really wanted to be here for that.
Thank you. Okay, and Carol, could you please stand up and tell us?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Carol. I wanted to hear what you do at this meeting. I went to Toastmasters many years ago, and it was like at 7:30 in the morning, and that's why I did not continue. But I thought I would come and hear my daughter give her presentation.
Oh, wow. Thank you for coming. And we know you. And you're gonna come back to the fold, I know that. So before we introduce our guest speaker, we do have a speaking tip of the day that's going to be given to us by Michele. Come on down.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. For the speaking tip of the day today is by Vince Lombardi. Leaders are made, they are not born. They are made by hard effort, which is the price which all of us must pay to achieve any goal that is worthwhile. And again, that is by Vince Lombardi. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Our speaker today has been with this congregation for 27 years, if you can believe it. She must have started when she was 19. Her name is Rabbi Michele. She also, to round out her life a little bit more, she is a unpaid physical therapy assistant with her father. She does his exercises with him. She has 2 grown sons, and she also teaches some Jewish study classes at CSUN. So we're very, very glad to welcome you here today, and thank you so much for stepping up and speaking with us about the mystery and intrigue of the land of Israel. Help me welcome
So, good evening to everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be with you. Coming to Toastmasters always gives me anxiety, and now welcoming Pastor Joy gives me more anxiety. I'm just kidding. So I'm really happy to be here. It was Alan who asked me to speak about the topic of Israel. I picked the mystery and intrigue of the land of Israel. I've been there many, 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 many times. I had the opportunity to go this summer and spend 10 days in a special studying program, not just touring all around, but just living in an apartment and studying, and it was very exciting. And no matter how many times I visit there, there's something amazing in being able to go to this special country in my own lifetime, through the generations of the history and the culture and the layers of civilization, and to see it with my own eyes. And one of my favorite pictures that I have, that I'll show you, is me in my pink tennis shoes with my feet on those stones. So to me, that's very powerful to be in that country, and that I could be this California kid that gets to go to Israel in our day and age. So there's a lot to say. Israel has so many layers of history, so many magnificent sites, that in order for us not to be here all night, I picked 3 specific areas to talk about. So I'll talk about the landscape and location, history and architecture, and people and culture. So I won't go all over the place, which is easy to do. Israel is an amazing country, and I put a map so you can see it. In terms of landscape, given its tiny size, and as we say, from the Med Sea to the Red Sea to the
Dead Sea.
Dead Sea. Okay, and also to the Sea of Galilee. The terrain is much like ours here in California. So a lot of the plants that are mentioned in the Bible, the date tree and the pomegranate, and all those things, they grow right here. We planted a whole bunch of them in our front garden. Lots of churches and synagogues have biblical fruit gardens, but they grow nicely in California as opposed to, let's say, in Pittsburgh, because we have the same climate. And just like we have Death Valley in the eastern part of our state, which is 282 feet below sea level, Israel has the,
Let's see.
yeah, this has, anyway, I'll put it for later. There we go. Israel has the Dead Sea. And the Dead Sea is the lowest point on Earth at 1,300 feet below sea level. And it is true, if you go in there, definitely don't want to go in with any wounds. It's extremely salty. You don't even want to shave that day, but you will float. You can't swim in it. You can swim across the Sea of Galilee. They have these races every year. People go and swim across the Sea of Galilee, but you can't really swim in the Dead Sea. Just float. And there are mountains in the north. This is just to show you some pictures. There are stalagmite and stalactite caves in the hills near Jerusalem, just like we have stalagmite and stalactite caves here in California. No, that's actually going to Rosh Hashanah. Those are grottos. So when you go up the coast, right here, right, see where it says Nahar here, right here, right below Lebanon, right on the border. And you take this, it's about a 2-minute ride, not even. That you go down and then you walk through the grottos, and it's amazing. So they have really beautiful landscape, tremendous agriculture, and a wild Mediterranean climate. And when birds fly from Europe south for the winter, they fly directly over Israel. There are some 500 million birds from 283 different species that migrate through Israel each year. It's an amazing thing to behold. I was once there in October for the Sukkot holiday, fall harvest holiday, and I looked up and just saw birds. But people that are birders come from all over the world, and they have these competitions, and they go and they watch them, and they have special designated places for the birds, so they don't meet with, I don't know, different things that happen to birds, so they don't meet with pollution and whatever, so then I would get sick. So I wanted to also connect the landscape with the history. So Israel connects 3 continents, right? Which continents does Israel connect? Israel's at the crossroads of 3 continents: Asia, Africa, and Europe. So in ancient times, there was the crossroads. It's a small country. It's twice the size of Los Angeles County. They say it's about the size of New Jersey, but it's a good strategic location connecting all of these places. And this is why others have sought to conquer the country. So I put this in. I have this from a long time ago, but all these cultures and groups existed in ancient times. The lands still exist, but the people no longer exist. So you have the Minoans, the Mycenaeans, the Hittites, I can't see them all, the Persians, empires of the ancient world. Here are some of the names of the empires. Mesopotamia, Assyria was a huge area. And I'm going to show you a list of all of these groups that came in and conquered the land of Israel. But Israel is still Israel today. So it's managed to be conquered, be influenced by all of these groups. But yet, the language that's spoken in the land, among others, but the main language is Hebrew. The people are still Jewish. Judaism has transformed, but it's still rooted in that land. So it's interesting. You go to Italy, they're Italian, but it's a different culture than the Romans of ancient times. You go to Egypt, they're Muslims primarily. There's some Christians, there were other religions, but it's primarily Muslim, and they're speaking Arabic. So it's changed in a way. Israel is still rooted in some way connected with this Judaism. And at the same time, Israel is 71 years old as a modern country. Her history and connection to the Jewish people goes back over 4,000 years. And people have lived there continuously through the centuries, and with each conquering group has left their influence. And I will say for better or for worse. Some ideas came into Judaism. This is an aside, but it's interesting. Like the idea of the afterlife. People want to know, do Jews believe in the afterlife? It doesn't really say that in the Bible per se, but it came into Judaism probably influenced by the Egyptians and the Greeks. So each culture, it brought good in it, maybe brought some destruction as well. This is where we get sidetracked a little bit, but I'll mention it anyway. Very quickly, Abraham came to Israel sometime around 4,000 years ago, around 2100 BCE. Jewish history unfolded there. We know the patriarchs and the matriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah, the stories of the Bible, followed by their going down to Egypt. There was a famine. Eventually, they leave Egypt with Moses. They return to Israel with Joshua. I wanted to pick it up here. It was King David who established Jerusalem as Israel's capital some 3,000 years ago, around 1000 BCE. And it was his son, Solomon, who built the temple in Jerusalem. So it was David who made Jerusalem because it was a neutral spot. He united the 12 tribes. And so he made it like a centralized place where people could come together. Solomon, does anybody know Solomon's Hebrew name? Solomon had a good Hebrew name. Shlomo, right? And what does Shlomo mean? Take off the O. Shalom, right? So he was the one, right. So David was a warrior, and if I use the word this way, maybe he did some beguiling things in his life. I was going to use it at the end in a better way. But he oops, I said she's recording me. Okay. Oh, now I said okay. Because David had blood on his hands, he wasn't able to build the temple. So it was his son Solomon, Shlomo, who was known for his great wisdom and his many wives. But he built the temple in Jerusalem. So that's, we don't have the remains of it. We have, I'll show you what they've excavated. But that's a picture of what the temple looked like, Solomon's temple. And this is supposed to be the Ark of the Covenant with the cherubim on top, the winged angels. So he made it a centralized place of worship and for prayer and gathering, people came, and that lasted for nearly 400 years, which is a really long time. If we think about how long has the United States of America been the United States of America, it's only 200 and something years, and think how many changes we've gone through. Tremendous changes in our country. So that was a long time. And they lived through many conquerors. I'm not going to read all of them. I'll just give you some highlights of a few. And you mentioned you've been to Israel, Mary Ellen, and you're going to go at the end of October. So you see these things. When you go to Israel, you see all the old and the new all together. I'll just give you a funny story. I remember I'll show you some pictures. The old city of Jerusalem. This was years ago when ATMs first came out. And it was really funny. Here you're like these old walls and stones, and there's an ATM in the wall, and money's coming out. So it's like old and new all together, all in your face all the time. And it's funny. But so all of these groups came through and had their influence. So with the lost 10 tribes, that's the first one, the Syrians. And they were the area of kind of Assyria today, of Syria and Iraq today. And as there are Assyrians in the world today, there are more Assyrians in the world than there are Jews. They're Christian today, but there's Assyrian churches in the valley. It's interesting. And their alphabet's very similar to Hebrew. It's interesting. So they came in and they conquered the part of the tribes of Israel, and those people were really lost to Judaism. So then there were only two tribes. Babylonia was a big one. Keep doing that. Babylonia was a big one. Babylonia is today's Iraq. And if I won't click it all the way back, but the opening map I showed you, this is supposed to be the border. Like for us, it's the Pacific Ocean. So they wanted to conquer all the way to the sea, to have access to those roads, to have access to the sea, to have the power. So they captured Jerusalem, in 586 BCE. Jews were taken to Babylonia. What's interesting is Jews lived in Iraq all the way until modern times. So Jews were a continuous community in Iraq and Iran. In Iraq till 1948, Israel became a modern state. Most of them fled, they went to Israel. Some came here. There's an Iraqi synagogue in Los Angeles, interesting. And Jews of Iran lived there until 1979 with the fall of the Shah. They lived there continuously since that time period. Doesn't mean they didn't move and go other places, but there were continuous communities. That's how they got there. How do you end up in all these different places? And later on, again, I don't have time for all the history, but Babylonia became a great cultural center of Jewish life. We hear about the Talmud that was actually written in Babylonia. Well, that didn't last too long, with Babylonia being in charge. Soon enough, they were invaded by Persia. Persia is today's Iran. Guess what? Nothing new under the sun. We're all still in turmoil. And the king of Persia was more benevolent, Cyrus the Great, and he ruled the whole area. And he said to the Jews, you can go back and rebuild your temple. You just pay your taxes to me. So you can go back. He was more pluralistic. His idea was, if my people are happy, all the people in my land, then they'll be loyal to me. So he let them go back. So by 516, 515, the temple was rebuilt. Later on came the Greeks under Alexander the Great, the Maccabees, Rome. He continues on, lots of stuff. The biggest one is, the Romans destroyed the temple and much of Jerusalem. Masada, I didn't put a picture of Masada, but it's a fortress. It was built earlier. There were about 1,000 Jews that were out there. They lived out there till the year 73, and that was the end of that. So Rome took over. I have another picture of this I'll show you afterwards. But this is really cool. This is excavations next to the Western Wall. And you can see, I'll put that there because it shows destruction. So you can see how it was destroyed. The wall was destroyed. You can see the remains. And so that Roman destruction of the temple had a lasting impact on Judaism because Jews saw themselves as in diaspora. So, and they were banned from Jerusalem. They were able to relocate. Some were taken captive to Rome. Jews were already in Egypt, in Syria, as we talked about, in Babylonia, and in Italy. But the next place that became the center of Jewish life, I'll just mention other influences. So we have Christian, Muslim, Turkish, then we have Christian with the Crusades. That's a Crusader fortress. There's a lot of Crusader ruins that you see in Israel, which are really interesting. Muslim again, Turkish, all the way up until World War I. At the end of World War I, now we have the British in there. So we have all these different influences. I was going to say one thing about, they relocated. So after the destruction of the temple by the Romans in the year 70, Jews they weren't allowed to live in Jerusalem. They were very cruel. So a lot of the Jews relocated to the Sea of Galilee region, and that became a great center of Jewish cultural life. Which leads me to my next slide, which is this. This is so interesting. This is right on the Sea of Galilee, in the town or near the town called Capernaum. So if you read the New Testament, you've heard of the town called Capernaum. In Hebrew it's called Kfar Nahum, village of Nahum. And they were fishermen. That's the stories in the New Testament. If you go there, this is amazing. You will certainly be beguiled if you are able to go and visit. If you are able to go and visit. And what's so special about it is this is the remains of this church from the early centuries of the Common Era. So it has, plexiglass or glass over it with a modern church on top. What could be more amazing than that, to go and be in that presence? And you get to sit, it's in the round, and it's a magnificent place. And what's even more interesting is, guess what? Like, not even more than the size of this room, or twice the size of this room, distance across, is the remains of a synagogue. They were sister faiths at that time. So that's the remains of the synagogue, which is right there. So it's really exciting. It's part of the mystery and the intrigue of going there. Why did I put this in here? That is a good question. So I wanted to say, in Israel, whenever they go to build something new, the architects and contractors pray they won't find anything underneath because it stops the project. And if it's a cemetery, oh no, because then people get all bent out of shape because the Orthodox don't want to move the bones or whatever. So for archaeologists, of course, it's exciting. Welcome to life in Israel, where the old and the new are all together. But Israel is also a land of high-tech innovation, where things like memory sticks were created. And also things like drip irrigation. They brag that they created the cherry tomato. Text messaging. Who does not text message? That really was created in Israel. AOL was 3 young guys after the army. I think they were 26 and 27 years old, created AOL back in the day. The Java platform inside the Amazon Kindle, the desalination technology that we use. They have the largest plant in Israel. They also have a huge problem with water shortage. They have solved the problem in many ways. One, that was why drip irrigation was created probably 30 years ago already, but now they have the technology, and I'm sure we're using it too. When you water the plants, you don't just spritz it. You have a computer that tells you exactly how much water to water into the plants and so forth. But they have these desalination plants, and they have the largest one in the world. I think we're building one here now, finally. So a lot of these things were dreamed up and developed there. So one of the aspects I find so interesting about Israel is the continuity through the centuries. This is the next part. We've all heard of the city Tel Aviv, but do you know what a tel is?
It's a mound.
It's an excavation.
It's an artificial hill. That's how they usually define it. So it looks like this. So if we were driving around, we drive through Simi Park, and we look around the 23 to the 118, it's just a hill. It could be filled with garbage when you're passing Madeira. So it's an artificial hill because it's going through layers of construction through the years. So it's an artificial hill. So if you appreciate history, you can see come to life in Israel as the land of both the birth of Judaism and Christianity, and with a long history of Islam as well. And even though we are in the 21st century, there are new finds all the time. If you're interested, for my CSUN class, I have my web pages that I use with the student, posting things all the time. New churches. This is funny. They have prisoners from some jail doing digging, and they found mosaics of a church from the, I think, 5th or 6th century. So this is a synagogue floor. This is really exciting. This is in the old city of Jerusalem. This is excavations of a wall from the first temple period. So that's a long time ago. And this is remains of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So that's interesting. And each one is thrilling and sheds new light on the people of ancient times. And I think that's what the allure of it is to me, that somehow I'm connected to these people. Somehow I'm connected to this. I'm an American. I live in California. It's La La Land. We're on the freeway. It's a different, and somehow this connects to me. Somehow the people, the history, it's personal. So it's interesting. And many synagogues with mosaic floors have been found. And this is interesting. This is a tel, and it's called Tel Kasil. And guess what? So it's right on the outskirts of Tel Aviv. So you couldn't have more of a starker juxtaposition of the ancient, and this is from a Philistine city. It's not a Jewish city, it's even earlier, from 3,000 years ago when the Philistines were in the land. The Philistines probably came from Greece, is what they say.